Everybody's talking about Trump's comment where he says to the Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa. That's really getting all the coverage in mainstream media and people talking about it nonstop, and that's important. There's another part that happened right after that, which I think is equally important, which is they talked about, Chris Wallace asked, like, will you accept the results of the election, basically? And Biden was like, of course. No matter what happens, of course. If he wins, he wins. If I win, I win. Your vote matters. Everybody get out there and vote. That was Biden's answer summed up. Trump, it was endless. Like, the entire time, he was like, it's a fraud, it's a fraud, it's a fraud, it's fake, it's not real. They're cheating out in the open. They're doing it right now. The election's being stolen. Like, there was no hedging, no nothing. It was just like all in on fraud, 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 fraud. Now, that's him saying, listen, if I lose, I'm not accepting the election. That's what he's saying. I mean, it's not up in the air. He's letting you know. That's what he's going to do. But here's one of the parts that stuck out to me, because this says everything about Trump and about where he's at.
As far as the ballots are concerned, it's a disaster. A solicited ballot, okay, solicited is okay. You're soliciting, you're asking, they send it back, you send it back. I did that. If you have an unsolicited, they're sending millions of ballots all over the country. There's fraud. They found them in creeks. They found some with the name Trump, just happened to have the name Trump just the other day in a waste paper basket. They're being sent all over the place. They sent 2 in a Democrat area. They sent out 1,000 ballots. Everybody got 2 ballots. This is going to be a fraud like you've never seen. The other thing, it's nice on November 3rd, you're watching and you see who won the election. And I think we're going to do well because people are really happy with the job we've done. But you know what? We won't know. We might not know for months.
The election's a fraud. The election's a fraud. It's not real. It's illegitimate. It's a fraud. And I think we're going to do very well because people love the job we're doing. That makes no sense. It's a fraud. It's a fraud. It's a fraud. And I think we're going to do well because people love the job we're doing. You can't say it's a fraud, it's illegitimate, and then, like, in the next breath, we're going to do well, like, I'm going to win, and it is legitimate. It's illegitimate, but it's legitimate. Guys, I know this is like explaining the most obvious thing in the world, but sometimes that's my job. And this is him making clear, like, yeah, if I lose, I'll say it's illegitimate. If he wins, if Trump wins, is he going to be like, listen, man, I know I won, but let's be honest. There's a lot of fraud, a lot of sketchy things going on out there. I don't know if I can accept the results of the election. Of course not. Of course not. If he wins, he will immediately drop every single thing he said on this. That's what happened in 2016. He was already setting the table. Like, oh, it's fake, it's not real, look at everything that's going on. And then when he won, it was shh. And there is like a supreme irony of, here's a guy who lost the popular vote by millions, won the Electoral College, and then he's whining about how unfair and fraudulent the elections are. Yeah, was it unfair when you lost by millions and still got the White House? You can definitely argue yes on that one now, can't you? So it's just, there's a supreme irony in, like, he's the beneficiary of how terrible the system is, but then he's complaining about the system. But really the only reason he's complaining is because he wants to set the table to reject the results if Biden wins. Or if Biden wins in, like, a landslide, he could try to save face, I guess, you know? Like, he might do one of those things and try to, well, you know, no way I would have lost by this much. Fraud, all the fraud, and it's all illegitimate, and it's all not good. And by the way, the stories he's bringing up, who knows what his source is? Because Donald Trump is the kind of guy to see a blurry Facebook meme from somebody named MAGA Chick 69 and think, like, that's factual. Everything I don't like is fake news, but if I see a meme on Facebook that's blurry that says something about votes, yeah, that's obviously accurate. He's a Facebook grandpa, and he's a Fox News grandpa, and it's just, and he's the president, most powerful person on earth, and this is what he does. This is what he does. Again, I don't want to belabor the point, although I already have, but yeah, this is not something any other president would ever do. The way you answer that question is, of course. Of course I'll abide by the results. Unless you don't want to abide by the results if you lose. And that's what it is. So you can only hope that the machinery that's already there kicks into action and, like, sure, he might be kicking and screaming, but he's kicking and screaming as he's being dragged out. And then you have to worry about the reaction from his people. His people. Because you don't know how many Kyle Rittenhouses there are out there. And that's a scary thought.